So recently, we found out Nickmercs got his operator bundle withdrawn from Call of Duty Warzone and Modern Warfare 2. The actual problem is that there was a fight going on in front of an elementary school due to the LGBTQ community and the people against that having a school board meeting about the Pride Month. So they wanted to make the Pride Month thing mandatory in the school.
So Nickmercs made a post on Twitter saying that kids should be left out of it. That's the real issue. And that really is a real issue. We do not want to involve kids into topics such as this because they do not understand things like this yet. It's too soon.
I can't really understand why anybody would interpret this sentence as something homophobic or bigoted. So to me, this is like a perfectly fine statement to make. Okay, please keep little children alone. Don't drag them into this sort of thing. I would not accept even straight people doing that sort
sentence,
of thing.
Like forcing something, and this is
Yeah.
another thing. Another thing, conflict such as that in front of a school is also very unnecessary. Is this really the way you want to represent your movement?
Let's just check a little bit how the colleagues of Nickmercs reacted and what they did to support their friend when it comes to this sort of this topic. Yeah.
If you don't know the news, yesterday, it just blew my mind that Call of Duty, Activision made the decision to pull Nickmercs' skin bundle off the game. And he worked hard, years and years, built a nice community. He's a great representation. That's a tough one, man. For what again?
Yeah, this was a bad move for the company. I mean, it's not my opinion, my subjective opinion, it's the opinion of masses. And you can see the biggest clash that happened in recent gaming history. As soon as Activision made the move, Nickmercs was supported by not only his colleagues and his friends, but the majority of people and comments are saying this is not okay.
And they are actually backing it up with their wallets. So they are stopping, they are saying, no, there is like a huge gap, a huge dip when it comes to concurrent players. We're going to check the numbers later, but we know that there's been already a noticeable drop when it comes to the player base. So a lot of people are standing up with Nick, with Dr. Disrespect, and with...
Exactly. Kudos, Dr. Disrespect. Well done.
Respect, Dr. Disrespect.
So what I got to do is uninstall the game. Number one, they either need to apologize publicly to him or reinstate his bundle in order for me to consider playing Call of Duty again. That's where I'm at.
Consider playing Call of Duty.
That's the key word.
Yeah.
Absolute love, dude. Yeah, to consider. You really have to make a really bad decision to make things bad as this. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say. Like, he put it perfectly. That's it. Like, he's saying what a lot of people were thinking. The only difference is he actually does have a lot of clout and a lot of influence when it comes to Call of Duty and the player base.
For sure.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Nickmercs put literal hours, years, months, I don't know, whatever, a lot of time to create something out of himself on stream, on YouTube, everywhere, social media. He's followed, he has a following. He worked his, can I say yes?
But
he worked his butt off to actually put a character of himself inside the game. Mm-hmm. This is one of the biggest honors, I suppose, you can have in a game such as this. To have it taken away for something as meaningless as this, especially when politics should not be included in gaming, this is absolutely ridiculous.
And we can argue, the thing is, we can talk about it a little bit, because to me it's interesting and I would love to know what you guys think as well. Like, that is something that, to me, that statement that Nickmercs has done is something that's so innocuous and it's not made to be making fun of any specific group of people. It's just, if you look about it, it's not bigoted, it's not anything, it's not homophobic, it's just protecting the kids. So he was not mentioning anybody else. He was saying, let's just leave the kids out of this. That's
Exactly.
it. And I would be doing the same thing.
Absolutely, me too. That sentence, as you have said, is not homophobic. It's not any kind of phobic. Doesn't represent any kind of political statement,
yeah,
nothing. Like, it's unrelated to the movement or to the things that have happened. Just leave the kids out of it. I think he wants to leave all that movement, all those ideas or thoughts out of the kids' minds, because kids are still in progress of learning and growing to create a character and to understand what they want, and it's too soon for them to even think about things like this.
Yeah, and that, like, I think it's very, very easy for me to say. This is just my view on that, but it sort of goes against any movement that exposes kids to acts of sexual nature. And what you said, it's very early for that to happen, and if I try to remember how it was in my youth, I would not understand what I'm seeing, but I would be likely traumatized by that, because my brain would just block it out at some point. So I think it's both things that you asked. It's just the extent of both the views. I think the political agenda is not necessarily tied to kids. The political agenda is the attack against people that are trying to protect kids, as Nickmercs has done.
Yeah, well pointed out.
Everything is a political agenda nowadays. This is the problem. So if you express any sort of view that is not coherent with that sort of thinking, you're a bigot and you're a whatever. You should be burnt at the stake.
Yeah, one of the biggest issues is that we're talking, okay, we have freedom of speech. We want everybody to be free to say whatever they want, but as long as you agree with what I'm saying.
Everybody's entitled to my opinion.
Everybody's entitled to my opinion. Not okay. Let's just try to think about when we were kids. I remember specifically that I could not understand a lot of things in my life until I reached some kind of enlightenment throughout tough times, good times, to some life lesson that actually taught me some things that are maybe good or bad, and then if it happened any sooner than it was supposed to happen, perhaps I would misinterpret it and not understand what's actually happening. So once again, it's too soon to just talk about things like this to kids.
I think that the children are a treasure to be protected, and this is the job of the parent. So this is just, okay, once again, like, what would you guys think? What would be your idea? Like, as a parent, I always feel that it's my job on this earth to try to protect all of the information that gets through to my kid. It's something that I need to think about, and it's something that I want the kid to grow. So disclaimer, okay, I don't have a kid, but it's something that, like, I know I will be very, very protective about one day, and this is something that is my right, but not only my right, but it's my duty to do. And as soon as somebody takes away that from me, he's gonna have, he, she, whoever, he's gonna have a very hostile person to deal with. And I feel for the people that actually reacted like that in a genuine sense, that they wanted to protect that. And this is why it's too early. Not because, like, yeah, okay, they are going to be exposed. There is now hubs and X's floating around where probably kids will have access to that much earlier than anybody would like to, or that we had. But that's still something that they will be able to explore at their own pace, and hopefully parents will be there to have the bees and the birds and the bees talk with them.
Yeah, parents should have complete right to do what they want for their kid, and sure, they might. I'm saying they as in all the kids now. So they, as in all the kids in the world now, have way more access to all kinds of information way before we had it. So for the kids, or actually for the parents, the new challenge is now to how to tackle all of that. And if you're trying to push your agenda onto it, we are literally ruining families. We are literally ruining the kids growing up. For a parent, the biggest thing you want is for your kid to grow up the best version that they can grow up to be. for every parent that's a different definition, different version, and it's okay for every parent to have the right to push what they want for their kids.
It's about the choice and the agency. I think agency is the key word here, because what people are doing in the LGBTQ sense right now is they are taking away the agency from the parents, and they are trying to teach kids stuff that parents may even be okay with, but would not be okay with the delivery, with the moment, with the way that it's done.
Yeah.
And like the only thing that I see as a problem here is there was the lack of this one step in the middle, which is checking with the parents whether it's okay to do. So that's it. That's all that it lacks. And Nickmercs pointed that out perfectly with one simple sentence.
And we can actually see from the reaction of the community and the movement
that people are thinking the exact same way. Yeah. Why do you think a company of that huge size and with that specific reputation with the gamers worldwide, why would they decide to actually react like that?
What's that score that everybody talks about?
ESG.
ESG. Okay, so for the ESG score, we all know now that they created this artificial score that kind of promotes your company and gets it to grow, to be included with everybody, everything, and now company is perfectly aligned with the world and is accepting of everything. But is this really something we want to accept?
I think it's just a way of controlling behaviors. So this is just like ratings. As soon as you have a rating, you will have people that are more willing to comply with it and others that are not. So I just think that it comes down to how willing a person is to comply with some imaginary rating, which may or may not be actually good in the bottom line. And this, what he said, what you said is ESG is actually some non-palpable definition of how you should act in order to be accepted by the majority of people, whereas it's not the majority of people, in fact, because this is what the boycott and everything has shown. So the majority actually stands behind the type of guy, the father that is trying to protect their own children.
Basically, what the company is saying is you are either with us or against us. And you have to choose a side. You cannot be common sense, or you cannot be silent. Well then, silent masses will not be silent anymore. There's a lot of people on either side with the movement, against the movement, and there's a vast majority of silent people who actually don't have a word right now in. So they are very silent. If it gets to the point where the silent mass has to give voice, we will see what's gonna happen.
Okay,
cool. Okay.
We need to go through Tim the Tatman and Nickmercs.
I'm sure a lot of you saw what happened with Nick yesterday. So I'm gonna just say this at the front, man. I love Nick. I talked to him for about 30 minutes last night. I know him, bro. And I truly do not think he meant to hurt anyone with what he said. It really, all I can say is this, man. Tatman Army, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. All right. We talked for a while last night, and he's doing all right. But that's all I can really say on it, man. That's all I'm really going to say on it. All right.
Here he was very neutral. He basically just said that, okay, he communicated with Nickmercs and he feels for him and that's it. But the main point is that he actually did react afterwards and tweeted out.
Mm-hmm. And to me this seemed like, the first, I'm gonna say all of these bigot issues, nobody knows how to react. Right? It's like if you overreact or say
you
any
feel
stupid
so restricted because you don't know what you can say and what you cannot say.
To me that was Tim's reaction. So it was like, okay, what am I supposed to say? What can I say? What will sound stupid? What will not? And he was like trying to do that, do the eggshell walk and be perfectly politically correct. But the tweet that he put out afterwards to me was, okay, I know that the stream and everything was politically correct and everything, but I'm actually standing ground with Nick afterwards, and his actions to me have actually shown that solidarity that needed to be there, from the start. So
Yeah, definitely. Do we even have freedom of speech anymore now that we have to think about so many things that we can say, so many things that we can do, where we can share our content without being worried about getting copyright strikes or even worse, strikes for being politically incorrect because somebody got offended.
Being cancelled, yeah.
Being cancelled is the worst that can happen to you. But is this really what we want? Is this what you want?
Yeah, it's a legit question. Is how would you feel if you need to say anything, and the first thing that comes to your mind is not whether that is right or not, but whether this seemingly innocent statement could get you cancelled and threaten your livelihood.
Oh yeah.
This is the problem. I think
issue.
Nowadays you need to be brave to say normal things. Like if you're not 100% into, and you don't have a lawyer that's saying to you, okay, don't mention this, don't say this word, that's it. You're risking your career over and over again by just speaking.
This actually reminds me of Andrew Tate, where he said 10 years ago things like this were normal, and now you have to be worried.
In the PVD interview,
yeah, exactly.
And it's a huge universal truth. I think normal statements that, well, let's be honest. I think 10 years ago everything I said was dumb. For myself.
Yeah, it was common sense. It was common sense. It wasn't dumb. It was common sense. It would be like, why are you saying this? This is legit.
Yeah, but it carried risks, and everybody knew it carried risks because whenever you are exercising your freedom of speech, you always, if you're not just being, like one brick in the matrix, you are risking offending other people.
Yeah.
And that is perfectly acceptable. I'm okay with being offended. I'm okay with offending somebody else. But when this offense costs me my job and my livelihood, and I suddenly find myself, struggling to make ends meet, I don't think there is a real freedom of speech, as you said.
No, it's just so hard to even think about this. It's so illogical in my mind that I cannot understand how we still accept things like this. There should be tolerance, of course, for things in life, but there's a limit to that tolerance. So if I'm infringed in the way that I cannot express my opinion without actually having the ability to offend you, the viewer, you, my colleague here, or friend, or I don't know, if I don't have the ability to offend you, to say my opinion, where are we? So if your right to exert your points of view or to express your opinion is so limited, do you really have then the freedom of speech? What do you think, people? What do you think?
I didn't like what I was seeing, man. Okay, I saw parents brawling in front of a school with kids. I'm sure a lot of you guys can understand how that video would piss some people off. It pissed me off. Okay. Now, I mean, full transparency. How do I put this? I gotta be very, very careful here. I don't want to piss anybody off.
This is literally the point that we made. Here we go. He literally says the issue. We have bigger issues at the moment.
Not trying to piss people off. I'm gonna make somebody mad.
No offensive words, no nothing. Be perfectly politically correct, and anything you think is good as long as it aligns with my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm making a lot of people mad. Wasn't my intention. I mean, listen, my wife and I just had a baby. Brand new father. We seen these kinds of videos. It's sad. But her and I agree that we want to be the ones to talk to our kid about things like that. I'm trying to keep it really simple, just so we don't have to get too crazy about it, because there's nothing to get crazy about. It's just, it really is that simple. I think I just have a bigger perspective on this now, being a parent, than I did maybe 2 months ago. The video bothered me.
This is also an interesting point that he makes. He's now a new father. He no longer wants to be silenced because
he's actually learning.
Yeah. So he wants to have the freedom to educate his kid how he wants to educate him or her. And he should have that right. He should be able to put his own worldviews in the person that he is developing, and that person then will be its own character.
I mean, he makes a good point. It's like, I don't mean to shit on any establishment, but it's the thing, as soon as you want to prevent parents and collaboration between parents and institutions and trying to put a lot of emphasis on one or the other, you're creating an unbalanced world for that kid to grow up in, where the effect of that institution or the parent will be too strong and the kid will be unable ultimately to do and to bring some conclusions for themselves. So this is like, I think it's a very risky road to walk on, because we don't know what that kid will take home as a conclusion from that.
Yeah. In the end, it's still up to the parents to maybe learn to be a better parent and to have an open mind to teach them things and to let the kids come to their own conclusion.
What would be the ideal outcome of the boycott? Not even from the perspective of Activision should fail or whatever, but maybe to recognize that this was not probably the optimal way to go with that sort of thing. You know, because like, honestly, my biggest, like the biggest problem that I have with this whole story is that no gaming publishing company should ever give a crap about sexuality. So this is it.
Yeah.
Like, there is no other layers and stuff. Like, sexuality in gaming should not exist. It's very easy, very basic, very you know, let's keep it black and white. Sexuality and gaming should not intertwine, that's it.
Yeah, and politics too.
Politics too, yeah. For some reason, like, super weird, politics and sexuality are now very, very intertwined in the USA.
Yeah.
But they should not even touch, like, they don't have any common ground. So it's like, it's...
Yeah, especially... Okay, so the world develops in a certain way and the world works in a certain way. So mixing politics into sexuality is absolutely ridiculous. When the world has good politics, the world thrives and the world is developed positively and gets to where we are.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when you mix things like sexuality or, I don't know, pronouns and all that bullcrap, literally, we are getting nowhere. We are literally messing with things that aren't even a real issue.
And we are making issues out of thin air.
We're literally making issues out of thin air.
Yeah.
There are real problems in the world. Come on, people. Like, let's focus on something that's actually needed to be focused on.
Right? I just don't think it's any place for a teacher or a school. I don't think it's the place to speak about things like that. And it's not that I think that it shouldn't be spoken about. If that's what you got from that tweet, then you're just wrong. I don't have any quarrel with anybody in here. I don't have any quarrel.
And he sums it up perfectly. We literally said everything there is to be said. He literally said everything that needs to be said. His stance is on point. Full support Nickmercs. And hopefully we made a point.
Yeah, it's he's such a good guy as far as I know from this that I've seen. It's that, like, if you got anything else besides that, you're just wrong. He didn't try to attack anybody. He was just supporting, like, his newly born kid and thinking about a father, thinking like a father for the first time in his life. Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine.
So if you are looking at this the same way we are, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe, and let us know how much our work means to you.